So I was saying my name is Sarah Allali. I'm Microsoft technical trainer. I worked at Microsoft Friends. I provide different training related to Microsoft products. So I train Azure administrator, which is the AZ104. I train Azure developers, which is AZ204. I train also networking, which is AZ700. I training related to security too, and different fundamentals training. Before joining Microsoft, I was a PhD. I have PhD in computer science. I was doing research. I have 8 years experience in training, teaching, and also in doing research. I worked my PhD mainly in networking, and to be more precise, I worked on wireless social network and robots. And then after my PhD, I get more interested into artificial intelligence, where I worked on deep learning, image, finding people in video sequence, so counting people in video sequence with deep learning, monitoring using time series algorithms. So that's what I work. The final things that, or the last thing that I worked on before joining Microsoft. I love art, so either it's photography, painting, music, cinema, so whatever it's related to art, I'm a big fan and I enjoy it a lot. Recently, I also win Hackathon Award, which is Global Microsoft Hackathon. It was a really interesting experience where we were experimenting some AI stuff, and I enjoy it a lot. And being a winner is really great, great thing that I had. So I'm sharing with you also my you could see it in the screen. So you have my email address. You could connect in LinkedIn also. So aka.ms/Sarah Allali if you want to. Getting back to the subject of this session, so mainly we want really to talk about Azure, but it's not really a deep dive session. It's really about what is cloud computing. I'm afraid to join or to go through this word, and I'm a newbie. I don't know what is cloud computing. I don't know what is Azure. It's a monster. There's a lot of product. People talking so technically in my field, in my company, and I don't know how to engage or to start a conversation related to that. So how could I start a conversation related to this field, which is cloud computing? So it's so scary, I guess, for most of you. It was scary in the beginning for me too, but with small steps, you could go forward and you could achieve it, you could learn it, because it's all starting from your learning related to on-prem, which is what you already do in your company or what you studied at university, or even if you are not really from the IT job, so you could go through it. So let's start our session. Let me just remove this slide. I told you, I'm an artist. I love art, so I'm going to draw all over the session. So we're going to see only drawings, so be ready for that. So what is cloud computing? That's where we're going to start. This is the beginning. This is the first thing that we want to discuss. So before I explain it for myself, tell me in the chat, what do you think? What is cloud computing for you? Have you ever worked on it or not? Let me see the audience. Let me know you, so I could adapt my presentation to your level of knowledge of this field. So tell me in the chat, what is cloud computing for you? So the first answer we have, leave every server config to other companies. Yeah, you could see it that way. So we could we give this server configuration, which it means, or it looks crazy or difficult to other companies, other big companies like Microsoft for Azure, or like Google for GCP, or like Amazon for AWS. Okay, if you don't know, don't be afraid, don't be scared. We are really into this, and let's go and explain it the right way, right? So cloud computing. So here I have Adam. It's an IT manager, and Adam works in a company which is Contoso. So we have the company which is Contoso. Let's just have a really easy example. So in Contoso, we have our web server. So the company has the web server in there, and they providing access to their customers to the web server. They are managing networking, so they have the network configuration there. So they are managing it. They are using tools. They have like switch. They have routers. They have firewall too, or sorry, a firewall. So they manage with the firewall with all the tools. So they are managing everything. So Adam is managing everything and is working on all this concept. The company can also buy the server. They have their own data centers. They configure the networking of the data centers. They manage the racks. When the racks stop working, so they have to replace the rack. When the firewall is not configured well, they have to configure the firewall. They have to manage all the networking that is related to the data center. And what we have in the other side, we have companies such as Microsoft that are providing the same like services, but in outside of your company in the cloud. So Microsoft has different data centers that exist all around the world, and they will provide you with different things. First thing, we have the power of compute. So when I talk about the power of compute, mainly what you get like the first thing is you'll be thinking, okay, power of compute, are you talking about VMs? But we have VMs in the on-prem. So could we rent this VM? So we are talking about renting. So could I rent a VM? Yeah, you could do. So I'm talking about also the network. I'm talking about the networking. So the VMs doesn't came alone. It does came with also networking. So you will need also to talk about the networking. So we are providing also networking. So we have this network power that we could get specifically also from these cloud computing or these cloud providers. So if Adam wants to connect the data center that he has or they has in on-prem with also the data center that exists in the cloud, mainly Adam will want to connect these two entities. And to connect to those two entities, you could configure the networking part. You will be looking, for example, so we talked about the web server, and mainly in a web server, when we have web page, if we are, imagine a streaming application, like any application where you watch videos on streaming, so you will need a storage where you put images. So it's going also to provide you with this, the power of storage. That's cloud computing, what is going to provide you. It provides you also with AI. It provides you with the power of AI. Nowadays, we are talking a lot about having OpenAI in Azure. So we have this great connection between Azure and OpenAI that's going to connect both of them. By renting, we mean pay as you consume. Absolutely, we mean pay as you go. We mean pay as you consume. I'm going to show you in a moment how it goes really, this pay as you consume. So now we have a vision. So what is cloud computing? So cloud computing, okay, so for Adam, it will be possibly a possible example. Adam will keep the web server in here and is going to have the database in here. Or Adam could have a copy of all the application, a web and database in UK, even that Adam is in Tunisia. Okay. So even if Adam is in Tunisia, it could have a copy of the application in UK, start the business of Adam in UK without having a physical company located in UK. So all the customers of Adam will be able to access to the application. So it provides us this cloud computing, the possibility to put not only data centers in the cloud in different places in the world, but also having other services like a web app like storage, like a database, like this is the most popular thing, easiest thing that we could think of it. This is what it is, really, cloud computing. Then we have what we talk about, the different type of cloud computing. So we have first what we call private cloud. Okay. So in private cloud, an organization creates a cloud environment in their data center. So they have, in the private cloud, you have your data centers that exist inside your company on-prem, and you're going to create a cloud environment inside inside that company, inside data center. And your organization will be responsible for all operating the service they provide. They doesn't provide access to users outside of your organization. You're not giving access to anyone to access your private cloud. Let me give you this analogy. So you could imagine your private cloud as your car. So I have my car. So I have a car. You could see this is really old, beautiful car that I have. So what I'm going to be responsible of? First of all, I will buy the car. So I'll be pay an amount to buy this car. So it'll be like paying, I'm not really good in Tunisian currency. So let's say 100,000 Tunisian dinar. I'm sorry, I'm not really good in Tunisian currency, but let's assume we are buying this amount of money for this car. It depends if it's expensive or not. So I will be responsible of maintaining this car. I will be responsible for paying insurance. I will be responsible for checking that the car is always going to work, to bring my car to the to a garage that's going to check the health of this car. So I will have all the responsibility. And okay, I'm happy that the price is in the correct range. Brilliant. So so I see that I have all the responsibilities, and I have to pay upfront of this car. Plus, I will be alone in my car. No one is going to be inside my car without my permission. I will be the only one saying who's going to sit in the first place, in the second row, etc. So I'm going to decide who get into my car and who I say to get out the car. Okay, so I'll be having this responsibility. This is the private cloud that we put it inside our data centers. We have also what we call the public cloud, which is the subject of this session and why you are in here. Public cloud like Azure, like GCP, like AWS, you could look at it as the bus. So you go into the bus station, you get your ticket, you pay for the ticket, right? You pay for the ticket, you get into the bus, and then when you arrive, you get out of the bus. So this is the Tunisian company, this is the Algerian company of bus, the official public companies for the bus. So you pay only for your ticket for using that bus, and you get in the bus, in the station where you are going to take it, and then you get outside when you finish. So the bus, it's not, you don't own that bus. You are not responsible of maintaining that bus. You are not responsible of making that bus working. The only responsibility you have is to get in, to get out, and to pay the ticket. Same for public cloud. It's owned by public service that are hosting, like Azure. Azure is owning all the cloud service that's going to provide for you, and you are going to pay as you consume or pay as you go. So you're going to consume the service, and you pay for how much you consume that service. You like the bus, you will not be alone in the bus. Sure, you will be alone in your place or in your sitting place, but you will be with other customers that are using the same service, which is the bus. So other companies will be using also other the public cloud. So it could be the company Contoso, the Fabricam company, other companies that are using the public cloud. So all of these companies using the public cloud will be using it together. So like the bus. Also, we ensure the security. So it's ensured by Microsoft. So you will access via secure network connection. You're accessed via internet, the public cloud, but it will be secure. So you'll be accessing it with a secured access to that service. You will not be accessing it like anyone accessing it the way they want. Um, this is the public cloud, really. And then we have the hybrid. And this group the two benefits, the benefits of public cloud, the benefit of a private cloud, and generally that's what we use the most. So you have a combination of public and private cloud. Like the example when we talked about Adam, which is an IT manager, we said it could possibly Adam having the web site or the web server in the data center of the company on-prem. And also they have the other side, which is the database in the cloud. So in the hybrid cloud, it's a combination of two. So again, in the same example, so let's assume I have a bicycle. So I could drive with my bicycle till the station, and then from the station, I take the bus to my work. So I could do it that way too. I see a question, Jacobs. So generally, we privilege by public cloud over private cloud for money purpose. Private cloud is expensive. It depends. It really depends. It's going to depend to the company, to the compliance of the company, also how the compliance of the company went or go. So if it's not only the cost, but also compliance. So let's say, take an example of a hospital. Okay, so assuming in a country they have a hospital, and they really there is a rules or there is a law, let's say a law that doesn't allow the patient or the sick people that are in the hospital, the information of the sick people that are in a hospital that goes outside of the hospital. So all the database has to sit inside the company. So in this example, you could stay having a data center with a private a cloud and everything inside your company, as you could have like a half having hybrid cloud where the data will stay inside the private part, which is the database that is going to sit inside the hospital. And also you have another part of your application that doesn't use necessarily sensitive data that's going to stay in the public cloud. Or you could keep it all privately. So it depends. So it depends on economic, strategic, and ethic reason in the mind of the company and what the company think about it. So what is the advantage of each? So we have the public cloud, the private cloud, the hybrid cloud. So the public cloud, we have what we talk no capital expenditure. Okay, Sarah, you're using a new word. What is this capital expenditure? You are providing us with a lot of new information. So we have no capital expenditure in the public cloud, but that capital expenditure really exists in the private cloud. In the hybrid clouds, yeah, it's the most flexible. That's the advantage of the hybrid clouds. Also in the public cloud, so organization pay only for what they use, where in the private clouds, organizations are responsible to have all the services in the beginning, etc., etc. So I have just say a word that looks a little bit scary, capital expenditure, operational expenditure we have. So we have the capital expenditure, we have the operational expenditure. What is these two words? capital expenditure is all about what we do in the private cloud, really. So in the beginning, so you have a upfront investment. Okay, so you have a upfront investment that you're going to pay. This is initial investment that you're going to pay. So you're going to buy the data center, you're going to buy the cables needed for the network, you're going to buy the switches, the routers, the firewall, all what is needed to keep your company. So you do all this in the beginning. And then you will be still paying for bills like electricity, like repairing some cables that break down, repairing some devices that break down, replacing some racks. So you're going to pay for few amounts of money for what we call maintenance. Okay, so we pay a little bit for maintenance. This is the capital expenditure. Then, since you are buying a server, so it's an investment, you really want to have the latest technology, the best server ever that exists in the market, so you could keep it so long. So the server capacity, maximal server capacity, sorry, server capacity. When you buy the server, firstly, you're not going to use a lot of it because you don't have really a lot of customers. You don't really have a big business. You wanted to invest in the best and the biggest server ever. So it's really going to be using a little bit of it. And by time you're going to increase this, increase this until achieving the best or the maximum capacity. So all this is lost. And this is the used part. So in the capital expenditure, you pay a big initial amount of money to invest, but according to time or during time, you'll not be using the server capacity, the full server capacity. The operational expense, where the operational expense that we really use it in the cloud solution, so you're going to pay for what you use, right? So this is a cost based on usage, right? So you're going to pay this small amount, and then after a while, you will need a bigger virtual machine or bigger server. So you're going to pay a little bit more, a little bit more, and so on. You got me, right? So a little bit more, since you will have more customers, you'll be so popular, etc., etc. And then for the usage, so we're going to really use the full server capacity. So you're going to get what you need. You're not going to take a VM with hundreds of gigabyte of storage for no reason, really. So you're going to get really what you need, and you're going to use everything, all the capacity. Tarek is saying, for a company that needs a powerful machine to calculate everything once in a year, like statistics, choosing private cloud is not smart move. Right, absolutely right. So you could just take a powerful virtual machine from Azure, and you're going to pay for the service for once a time when you need it. And you get the most powerful virtual machine that you could possibly have with all the scalability needed, all the redundancy needed. Yeah, thank you for your comment, Tarek. Also, you have probably heard about cloud service types. So it's a little bit intimidating when you hear IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. So what is this? what really are this? So IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. So yes, it's all what is related to the infrastructure. So for example, getting back to Adam company, maybe Adam will be interested really into having a VM, and he just copy the web app from the web server the way it was. So just copying the web app as it is. So having a VM, or really wants to use a storage account for the storage, right? So the VM will be needing networking. The VM will be needing a firewall, will be needing security tools. So whatever you imagine for an infrastructure, is it a physical data center? Is it a virtual machine? Is it a server where you're going to install your Hyper-V and you want to work on it the way you want? So all of this is IaaS. Then we have the PaaS services. And then in the PaaS services, so we're going to really look into development tools. So we're going to look into database, for example, application for database, not application, really a platform that you could put inside it your database and configure your database without really thinking what is behind, which VM it's behind, which virtual machine is behind, which data center is behind. So you'll be going to focus only into writing your SQL script and creating the tables, create the connection between the tables, and then request your database the way you want. So that's the PIS. You're really focusing to development tools into database management, business analytics, AI services that you really not want to think about what is behind, how the data center is configured. I don't really want to work on it or to work on how to manage it. That's really what is the PaaS. SaaS is exactly like using your Office 365. It's just an application that you are going to use it. So you're going to use it directly. That's the SaaS all about. Exactly, Tarek. So basically, it's about how much you want to delegate. So, by the way, these pictures, I take it from the official documentation of Microsoft. So you could find it in Azure Microsoft Resources, where you could find the documentation. And then when we talk about this different, so SaaS, IaaS, PaaS, we talked also about shared responsibility model, and here we came to the comment of Tarek, said basically it's about how much I want to delegate. Yeah, right, that's it. How much easier Microsoft or the cloud provider is going to make it easier for you to create your application or to use your service or use your application. That's all about it. First of all, when you are on-prem, so you have your company. So when you are on-prem, you are managing everything. So you are responsible as a customer of all the things. You are responsible of the physical data center. You have to buy the data center. You have to maintain the data center. You have to keep your data center working. You are responsible for the networking. So you're going to connect everything. You are going to be sure that everything is connected. You are going to buy the switches. You're going to buy the routers. You're going to think about the power, the electricity. All this is your responsibility. You are going to think about the physical host. So you're going to think about how you are putting it, how you are organizing it. And basically all the rest, so the operation system, the network control, the application, the identities, the devices, the mobiles, the accounts, everything you will be responsible for an on-prem. So if you are already working in a company and you are on-prem, basically you are responsible of everything. Also talking about IaaS. PaaS and SaaS. Once you move into the cloud, what we have learned today from Adam experience. So from Adam experience, when Adam moved to the cloud, it moves all the responsibility of the physical host to Microsoft. So the physical data center is the responsibility of Microsoft of how to put the data centers, where to put the data centers, to maintain the data centers, to keep the data centers working, to ensure that the network is always available in my data centers, to ensure that the physical hosts are working. So everything related to this physical, so it's responsibility of Microsoft. So once you move, you are no more responsible of anything related to the physical data centers and networks related to that. Then you have the IaaS. So the IaaS, an example of the IaaS is virtual machines. So when you put the virtual machines, you're responsible of choosing the operating system to ensure that you put the right network configuration when you create the virtual network. You will be responsible of installing the operating system to make sure that the operating system is updated, to make sure that you put the right configuration for the network control. For example, you want to have a public access, so providing an IP address, public IP address to the VM. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to also, when you think about networking, to do the subnetting, the network, etc. So it's your responsibility. If we bring the Adam example of the web server, it's responsibility of Adam of creating the web application and making sure that the web application is working. It's responsibility to restrict access to the identity. So all these responsibilities comes from the customer, for the customer. Then you have the PaaS. It's really about providing development tools, database management, things, etc. So in that moment, you are no more to maintain the operating system of the VMs that are running the PaaS service that you are using. So if you are using a web apps service, for example, you're not responsible of the VM that is running the web app service. You're not responsible of that. This is the responsibility of Microsoft, ensuring having the right operating system running and working and updated. So everything related to that VM is the responsibility of Microsoft. Then you will have a shared responsibility in different things related to the network control. So if you want a private access for your web app, so you have to choose to have a private access to your web app. So you have to choose it. So that's part of control of network that you have. You have responsibility of creating the right application, so providing the application correctly. But making and maintaining the runtime will be responsibility of Microsoft when you are using the web app. Also providing the right identity provider that you're going to use. Adding an identity provider is going to be your responsibility. Then you have the SaaS, and in the SaaS, we said like application like Dynamic 365, Office 365. So we're really using the application. You're no more developing this application. You're no more creating this application. It's not your responsibility creating the application. You're going just to use it as a user. And once you use it as a user, so then you still have many responsibilities. So the device that you are going to use your application from, to make sure that it's secure, the account that you create to use this application, it's your responsibility. And always the information and data will always be your responsibility. When we talk about Azure, we talk about really regions. When you start working, you should understand, whenever you use a service, you should understand the concept of a region. So when you deploy a service, most of the services, I'm not going to say all the services provided by Azure because there is global services, right? So most of the services you will be asked, okay, in which region you want to create this service? Is it France Central? Is it East US? I couldn't provide an example from North Africa because there is no data center yet in North Africa. Is it, sorry, Central US? Is it Canada Center, Canada East? Where you really want to deploy? We have data centers existing in 140 countries in the time while recording this video. So if you watch it later on, don't say, "Oh God, she doesn't know anything." So things change. In 60 plus regions, I don't really have the number in my mind, and we are creating more and more solutions. So it change data centers or regions. So it changed in continuous manner. Regions are made generally of one or more data centers, and they are in close proximity. The physical place where I have a question in the chat, the physical place where my application will be hosted, is there a difference in the cost? Absolutely, Jacob. We have a difference in the cost because the pricing of the business in in France Central, it's not the pricing of the business in East US, and the pricing sense is different from one region to another. So I'm going to impact also the pricing of the services, right? So starting a company in France Central, it's not the same price as starting a company in East US. We have taxes, we have different things. Also, Microsoft are paying for. And since from that, so the pricing of this solution or the same VM is going to be different from one region to another. So you have to check the pricing regarding the region where you are going to deploy your service. But it's not really the cost that you have to look for it when you are choosing a service. It's also the latency. So if you have the customers in France Central, so you should put your service closer to your customers to make to not make really big latency in the answers of your customers. Absolutely. It depends on the targeted audience. Exactly, Jacob. So I said we have different regions, right? So region is going to be one or more data centers. So I'm going to draw at DC, right? So I draw at DC in the beginning, so I'm going to keep it DC. And this data center will be sitting close to each other in close proximity, right? And this data center will provide you also with flexibility of scalability. And also data residency, it's going to like respect the data residency if you are really from security field, so you're going to understand this. Then how these data centers are represented. So we have region. Okay, so we have a region. My region is East US or France Central, right? Inside the region, what I'm going to find, we're going to find something called availability zone, right? So I'm going to find something called availability zone. What is an availability zones really? An availability zones is one or more data centers. That's really what is. This is. It does look like a. It should be a one. Okay, so this is a one. It's a one or more data centers. Okay, so it's one or more data center. This is what is availability zone. In many regions, it depends to the maturity of the region. Most of the region has 3 availability zones. Is it 1? Is it 2? Let me write it for you. So you go to search it after this session. Availability availability zone. Okay, forget me if you see that my writing is rubbish. I know it. I didn't spend a lot of time in school concentrating on having a great writing skills. So we have 3 availability zones, right? These 3 availability zones are all connected with really strong power and really strong internet connections. So we'll have a really the latest, the greatest private fiber optic network connection between every availability zones. And every availability zones is one or more data centers. Okay? And each of them is independent in terms of power, pooling, and networking. It's really independent of the 3, power, cooling, networking. And they are physically separate data centers within the same region. So they are still in the France Central, but they are physically separated data center with the same region. So, okay, great. We have different availability zones. Thank you, Sarah. But why do we have 3 availability zones? It's all about protection against downtime. So data centers may have failure. Imagine a power failure. Imagine network failure. So if I have my service that is existing only here, and this availability zone has a failure and needs to reboot or restart, so that data center needs to be rebooted, to be replaced. We need to replace a rack. We need to replace that power connection or that network connection. So what about it? Here, the availability zones, it provides you with the choice of having copies. So even if this availability zone where there is my first VM, it's not available, I still have a second virtual machines that has a power and network connections that I could still access, or my customers still be able to access to this availability zone. The time of the second availability zone is going to restart or reboot or going to fix that power outage, okay, or network outage. Yeah, they do, Tarek. They could choose the availability zones where to host your, for example, your VM. You could choose which availability zone you're going to host your VM in. Yeah, you have that choice. So this is really about availability zones. So to provide us the possibility to create copies in case one data center is going to be non-available. Plus, it's not only that. What if, Sarah, what if we have really a disaster in this region? So in this region, we have a natural disaster. We have a human disaster that make all the region not. No, I didn't want to clear. Why are you doing this, my pen? So, okay. It's really, yeah, maybe like earthquake, natural disaster, like earthquake, Tarek. Yeah, we don't wish for that, but yeah, things may happen. So what if the whole region became unavailable? So what is the solution that Azure is really providing with for us? In that case, we have what we call the region pair, right? So we have region pair. Most of the region, so not say all the regions, we have one region doesn't have region pair, but most of the regions has a region pair. And there is a distance between these 2 regions that should be respected. We have at least 300 miles of distance. At least means bigger or equal, right? So bigger or equal 300 miles. So at least we have 300 miles. And you could replicate, having replication, automatic replication for your same service to the region pair. This region pairs is going to be with a region pair that's going to respect also the data residency. It's going to respect all this. So every region could have a region pair, and we have a list of region pairs. Let me just show you. Let me grab my browser and show you. So we have ak.ms/paired regions. I hope I didn't make the mistake. Yeah, I didn't make the mistake. So in here you have Azure cross-region replication. So you could see here what I was drawing. So in Azure region, you'll have 3 data center with the power, internet, connection. They are independent in terms of power and connection, and you have Azure region pairs, and you are to stay in the Azure geography. It's not a random choice or choice that you choose. There is a list. So here, so Canada, let's stay with Canada. We have someone from Canada. So let's go ahead with Canada. So we have Canada Central, the region pair is Canada East. You have France Central, is France South. And here it's Paris and Marseille. So here it's Paris and Marseille. United States, etc. Right, you got the concept, I guess. We have also other regions, special regions. We have the US government service. We have also for Azure China that is really managed, that are physically separated instance for China that is managed by 2.1 ViaNet. So it's operated by 2.1 ViaNet, where we have also Azure regions related to that. So let me show you Azure regions. So you have this website. So you have this global infrastructure geography overview. So where you could look into regions, and you get in here. So it's located the nearby geography. So you could look in your side to the nearby geography. And here I'm in France. So we have France Central. It says locations Paris. We never share the exact locations of a region for a simple reason of keeping it secure. So even as a Microsoft employee, I have no idea where in Paris these data centers are. It opened in 2018. It has 3 availability zones. I could look also at data residency. So the data would be stored at rest in France. So it's going to respect GDPR. Disaster recovery, so cross-region options. So we could look for the region pairing. It's going to redirect me to the same web page. I could see the list of products by region also. So when you choose a region, really focus also in the list of products that exist, because it's not all the product exist everywhere in every region, right? So here you have, I could look Azure Databricks. I could look also others, VMs, servers. So in here it provide me which is generally available, what is in preview, what has a future availability. So in this table, I could see what is really generally available. I have a lot of solutions in France Central. So most of Azure solutions exist in France Central. It's really rich. So if I do a comparison with a new region, which is Poland, that has been opened in 2023, and I look in the list of products, it's really not that much richer, or not all the products available in that region. So you have to be careful to look if the service that you are looking for or the resource that you are looking for is available in your region. What we could do more, so we could explore the globe. Okay, let me explore the globe. So in here, I'm going to explore the globe and look really into the data center existing also with the network connection that exists from all the data centers from each regions. So you could see in here, we are in America. Let's travel. So all these are cables. All these are Microsoft cables. You see that really your service, when you deploy your service, will be communicating not via internet, but via this a lot of cables that exist in Microsoft. So you could see here the data centers that exist. So I could look into each of them. Here's Spain Central. I could look more. Austria, Germany, Switzerland. Let's go to Canada. We have someone from Canada. So Canada East, Canada Central. Yeah, it's Azure Earth, right? I really love this comment. I'm going to use it in my presentation from now on. I really love it. Yeah, so you have here a legend, so you could see what is here. It's in white is geography. Here is the region. Here it's edge zone, network pop. Let's not go through this since it's a beginning, really beginning starter presentation. We have also ground station that you could see them flying all around, etc. So in here, you could also go and take a tour. So you could have a virtual Microsoft data center. So you could go get inside it and watch what is really inside the data center, Microsoft data center, how it looks like. You could access, look, okay, there is an Azure Orbit in here. I could look, there is Azure modular data center in here. So what's inside this? So we have a recycling. Okay, great. Looks awesome. What is this? Renewable energy. Amazing. So you have other information. Checkpoint. Really? There is security? Yeah, as promised. There is a security when you access to the data centers. It's not anyone is going to access for data center. So be ensured that your service will be secure in Microsoft data centers. So I invite you to go. This is a free access. So take a tour, look at it, um, enjoy reading about it. You could also here region filter. I could do filters like disaster recovery option. Okay, could see in that. I could see sustainable features. Sustainability is really important in nowadays. Availability zone presence nowadays is really important.
Maybe there's a question in the
Yeah.
chat. So when we discussed about the region or the replication, etc., there was a
Mhm.
question from Jacob saying, is this something that the customer should consider, or Microsoft will do it for the customer for free, for example, when dealing with a natural disaster?
I'm going to read this question. Thank you, Isham. So is something that the customer should consider or Microsoft will do if for the customer for free when dealing with disaster. It really depends to the service, and you have really to manage your disaster recovery. So you have to say to Microsoft how to manage the disaster recovery. So we have two services for disaster recovery, and you have to turn on these services for disaster recovery. So they will turn on the fact of you are going to deal with disaster recovery. So if you want to have copies in other regions, so you have to turn on this feature. Let me give you a simple example. You have we have a storage account, right? So you're going to see it's dependent service. So for example, I have a storage account. This is, you recognize this. This is the availability zones. In storage account, when you're going to create a storage account, you're going to choose either have a storage account, what we call LRS, which is locally redundant storage. LRS, you have 3 copies, right? So they will be somewhere in your region. You have 3 copies in your region somewhere. You have then the ZRS, what I was meaning here. You have the ZRS, and the ZRS will have 3 copies, 1 in each region. And let me put a code color. So ZRS, you will have 1 copy in each zone. So here, here, and here. But in the first one, you have 3 copies, but you don't really know in which availability zones they are. You have no expectation that you will have a copy in each availability zone when you choose LRS. So if one availability zone is not available, it could happen that all the 3 are existing in this availability zone, but it's not working. So you take this risk, and this is your choice. But when you choose ZRS, which is zone redundant storage, you will have a copy in each availability zone. And in that case, really, if this availability zone is not available, you still have a copy in the other availability zones, right? We have also something called GRS, right? And in the GRS, you are going to have, again, let's provide a code color for each one. LRS here. GRS, you're going to have 3 copies are going to exist somewhere in this region, and you will have 3 copies in the other region. So if there is a disaster in the first region, in the whole region, you still have your 3 copies that will be available in the region pair. Moreover, you have the option, let me grab a 4th color. We have the GeoZone redundant storage. And let's grab another color. Right, this green. And in the GeoZone redundant storage, you will have 3 copies in the main region that's going to be spread in the 3 availability zones. And also we'll have 3 copies in the second region. That's going to be somewhere. So here you are managing the disaster, and this is really your choice. You are making the choice of where to put your services. That's an example of how to manage that. So this is a simple example of storage account, but really each service you manage it in different way. This was Jacob question, right?
Yep, so it's answered. And yeah, we have another question regarding the redundancy here. Is it considered for availability or performance or both?
It's really considered here redundancy for availability in this example. It's not for performance. So if it's for performance, you have other configuration to do so. So if I say performance means, I assume that the question means about being able to read from the second region, which is another option that you could configure. So we don't have really only GZRS and GRS. We have also the read access GRS and the read access GZRS, which provide you the possibility to read from the second region. Because in here, it's really a disaster. It's not related to being able to read from the region pair. But if you want to read from the region pair, you have to activate this read access feature. Otherwise, it's not going to work.